Fallout fans will never agree on everything. Hell, most of the times we won't even agree on most things. But when it comes to the franchise as a whole, everyone is in agreement that the best part of Fallout is the modding community. So long as you're willing to wade through the endless sea of anime waifu mods and non-lore friendly tactical weapons mods, there will be no shortage of awesome and truly technically and creatively brilliant mods. That is, of course, not to say that the anime waifu and modern gun mods aren't well made. There's just a drastic oversaturation. But I digress. When it comes to mods, the most ambitious projects out there are the ones that get the most attention. Mods that add new worlds or huge overarching stories to the main game. Or weapons and items. Those ones are awesome too. Or UI. There's just a lot of cool mods out there, what can I say? Mods like New California for Fallout New Vegas or Sim Settlements 2 for Fallout 4 stand as respective examples of both these categories. New California itself, however, stands as one of the first ever large-scale Fallout mods that reached that top level of new content. Whether you love it or you hate it, New California was historic in what it was able to achieve, and ever since then, we have seen loads of other projects pop up promising a similar level of that new game feeling. Like with many things though, not all of them can be winners, and the most commonly agreed upon biggest flop in recent Fallout modding history, the one that to this day sends a shiver up people's spines, is Fallout: The Frontier. If you're one of the 5 people in the community who don't know what the Frontier is, it started out as an ambitious weather-focused mod for Fallout New Vegas set in the snow-blanketed streets of my stomping ground, Portland, Oregon. A big selling point of the original mod concept was that temperature and weather elements played a much bigger role, and it would have functioned very similar to the base game survival mode, but cranked up to 11 in terms of realism. This is, of course, how things started off. And with anything, it always starts with the best intentions. But like some things though, when all is said and done, all the I's have been crossed and the T's have been dotted, we got... well, we definitely got something. Muddled in controversy since before the mod was even released, the Frontier was soaring high and then quickly nosedived into a death spiral that they just could not pull out of. From allegations of sexual degeneracy amongst the modding team to blatant plagiarism, the Frontier was a mess of disconnected stories and objectively terrible writing that, in the end, served up nothing but bad memes and left a bad taste for everyone involved, both devs and players alike. Following the mod's release, things didn't really get much better. With lazy storytelling, questionable humor, and with even the most basic enemies being huge bullet sponges, the mod became more of a fascination. There we go. The mod became more of a fascination and tragedy than something that most players actually enjoyed. A few months after the mod was released, the majority of the controversy died down, and the roast memes fell out of the spotlight. Rumors began to circulate that the remnants of the original team were looking to bring in new talent and new support in order to rework the mod into something a lot less controversial and a lot more enjoyable. New life would breathe into the project, as the development team would fall under new management following the exodus of the former team leader, TG Spy. A new chapter had opened for the development team, and it felt as if the Frontier was going to put its sticky and odd-smelling past behind it and emerge as a much more refined and unified project. And that brings us to today, during this video, at this exact point in time, and it is with a heavy heart that I must inform you that as of February 10th, 2023, the rework of the Frontier has officially ended. Yeah, I know I'm a little late to the party talking about this, but nevertheless it needs to be talked about. The already ambitious rework for the Frontier, a massive project in and of itself that took several years, almost a decade, just proved to be too big of an undertaking for the comparatively bare-bones development team to be able to finish in a timely manner. As you can see here, it was projected that it would take about another 4 years to do everything that needed to be done in order to bring the mod up to snuff, which also would have included a massive rework of the game's main story, and it was just ultimately decided by the top brass for the rework project that it was too much with too few to be able to complete. As it stands now, the Frontiers Discord server is a general modding community server, operating primarily as a hub for other modders to connect, with both old and new fans mobbing around the server like teenagers hanging outside a burned out house. Now I'm going to be totally honest here, but I'm genuinely sad to see the rework shuttered. For those of you who watch me stream the different faction quest lines, you know all too well, I despised the game. The writing was boring, the story for the NCR specifically was an insult to video game storytelling, and the actual act of venturing across the game world was a massive pain in the ass that felt like it was never properly playtested for balancing, specifically the enemies. That being said, however, there was real potential in the game world itself. The map was decently made, and there were some elements of the quests and stories that were quite unique and interesting. My favorite part of the mod was the questline that involved helping out the last remaining members of a tribe known as the Bleeders, a tribe native to Portland that worshipped blood. It's difficult to properly put it into words, but I just like tribes in Fallout games. I feel like the Frontier would have had a stronger plotline if it had focused on multiple different new tribes instead of just, oh, it's the NCR and the Legion and the Brotherhood of Steel, but they're just in Portland now. Edgy. Really changing up the game, guys. I will say, though, that I wasn't a huge fan that the tribe all died off because one guy sexually assaulted a woman who had syphilis, and the tribe's bloodletting and blood-sharing rituals meant that it spread to the rest of them, and they all died. Mostly, though, that was just because they specifically mentioned that they all died of syphilis. And I don't know why, but it just feels odd to reference such a serious real-world illness in a video game like this. In my opinion, they should have just left it unnamed or called it something different or whatever. The original mod's writing, specifically the NCR, has such a bro feeling about it that I can totally envision the quest writers sitting around thinking up quests and one being all like, hey, bro, what if it was just one tribe called like the Bleeders or whatever, and because they like, cut themselves and shit, and then they all got like syphilis and died or whatever because they like share blood or stuff. I'm sure that is absolutely not how the quest came to be about. That's not how it actually happened, but I don't know. This game kind of has that vibe about it, and with the fact that they mentioned a very, again, real world illness, it just, I don't know, something really felt off about that. I really like the Bleeders, but just the fact that they mentioned syphilis just doesn't sit right with me. Whether or not a rework of the mod would have actually been any better, the fact of the matter is that the effort was made to make the Frontier better, and that's commendable. And it's sad to see things end up this way. Perhaps there was no way to ever fully redeem the mod, but if other games like No Man's Sky and Fallout 76 can bounce back, why not this? But hey, maybe that's just me being optimistic. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you think the rework of the Frontier could have been good, or was it destined to fail in any reality? Let me know down in the comments. Until next time, however, I thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe and stuff, and I will see you all out there in the wasteland.